You know that feeling
Oh, yes.
when you understand everything someone says in English,
Totally following along.
and then they ask you a simple question?
Like, how was your weekend?
Exactly. And suddenly, your brain just freezes.
It's like a massive grammar traffic jam in your head.
You want to answer naturally, but all you can think about is, wait, should I use the past perfect progressive here?
And by the time you figure out the verb tense, the conversation has moved on.
You just nod awkwardly.
Or you answer in 3 perfect but very slow, disconnected words.
That's the problem we are tackling today. We are going to unlock how to react naturally in conversations.
Hi everyone, I'm Mia.
And I'm Leo.
Welcome to the English Blend.
Today's topic is all about getting unstuck.
It's about moving past that hesitation
We want to help you sound less like a textbook.
and more like yourself.
Exactly. So grab your coffee and let's get started.
Let's start with the basics, Leo. This whole problem comes down to how we think about English learning.
It's the constant conflict between fluency and accuracy.
People often think they are the same thing, but they really aren't.
Accuracy is about perfection. It's about getting the grammar 100% correct.
It's what you learn in grammar books.
It's essential, of course, for writing and formal situations.
But fluency is different.
Fluency is about communication. It's about keeping the conversation moving even if you make a few mistakes.
It's about the flow.
Think about a river. A fluent speaker is like a strong, continuous river.
An accurate speaker might be like a perfect, polished fountain, beautiful, but maybe not moving forward quickly.
We are aiming for the river, guys.
Because in real life, nobody cares if you say, I wented, instead of, I went, if they understand your message.
Well, they might notice, but they won't stop the conversation to correct you.
Their goal is understanding, not grading your homework.
And that brings us to the biggest blocker of natural reactions, the grammar trap.
The grammar trap is when you start building every sentence piece by piece in your head before you say it.
You know, subject, verb, object, check the tense, check the preposition.
By the time you finish that mental checklist, the moment is gone.
You missed your chance to jump in.
And if you miss too many chances, the other person might think you aren't interested.
Or that you didn't understand the question.
Which isn't true. You understood it perfectly. You just couldn't react fast enough.
This is where we need to reframe the goal.
The goal in conversation is to get your point across.
That's a great phrase right there. Get your point across.
When you get your point across, it means you successfully delivered your idea or message.
Example, imagine you're telling your friend about a tough day at work.
You might stumble a bit on the correct modal verbs, saying, I should have left earlier, but forgetting the past perfect form.
Maybe you say, I should left earlier. It's technically wrong.
But your friend completely understands the feeling and the meaning. You got your point across.
Exactly. Focus on the message, not the perfect delivery.
That fear of grammar mistakes is what causes that freeze.
We need to train our brains to prioritize speed over structure just for the moment of reaction.
But how do we practice reacting quickly? It sounds difficult.
It requires a shift in how we approach input, meaning how we listen and read.
We've got 4 really practical tips for you today.
Ready for tip 1? This is huge. Massive contextual listening.
Not just listening to hear the individual words, right?
No, it's listening for the flow, the tone, and the chunks of language.
Think about it. How did you learn to react instantly in your native language?
Because you heard those reactions thousands and thousands of times.
If your friend says, oh no, that's terrible, you don't translate those words, you recognize the reaction. That recognition happens because you have massive input.
So listen to podcasts, watch YouTube videos, listen to shows, even if you don't understand 100% of the words.
You are training your brain to recognize patterns and whole phrases, not just individual grammar points.
You know, focusing on context. If someone laughs and says, no way, you know that means they are surprised or skeptical.
That's a natural reaction, a chunk.
And speaking of chunks, tip 2 is learn and use language chunks.
This is probably the most effective way to gain natural reaction speed.
A chunk is a group of words that native speakers use together all the time. They are pre-packaged responses. You don't need to build them from scratch.
Like, instead of thinking, I need to find out, you just learn the chunk. I need to figure that out.
We've got 4 really practical tips for you today. Ready for tip 1? This is huge. Massive contextual listening.
Not just listening to hear the individual words, right?
No, it's listening for the flow, the tone, and the chunks of language.
Think about it. How did you learn to react instantly in your native language?
Because you heard those reactions thousands and thousands of times.
If your friend says, "Oh no, that's terrible," you don't translate those words. You recognize the reaction.
That recognition happens because you have massive input.
So, listen to podcasts, watch YouTube videos, listen to shows, even if you don't understand 100% of the words.
You are training your brain to recognize patterns and whole phrases, not just individual grammar points.
You know, focusing on context. If someone laughs and says, "No way," you know that means they are surprised or skeptical.
That's a natural reaction, a chunk.
And speaking of chunks, tip 2 is learn and use language chunks.
This is probably the most effective way to gain natural reaction speed.
A chunk is a group of words that native speakers use together all the time.
There are pre-packaged responses. You don't need to build them from scratch.
Like, instead of thinking, "I need to find out," you just learn the chunk. I need to figure that out.
This breaks the freeze. It tells your brain, okay, the talking has started.
And once the talking starts, it is much easier to continue the sentence, even if it's a little messy.
Because the biggest hurdle is that initial silence, where the inner critic starts judging your potential answer.
The 3-second rule forces you to communicate first and edit second.
Remember our core idea. Fluency equals communication, not perfection.
Let's look at a relatable example. Imagine you are in a cafe and the waiter asks, "What kind of milk do you want?"
If you think for 10 seconds, worrying about how to conjugate I will have versus I would like, the waiter gets impatient.
If you use the 3-second rule, you might just blurt out, "Oat milk, please." Or maybe, I take oat milk."
That second option, I take oat milk, might have slightly awkward grammar.
But did you get your point across? Yes. The waiter knows exactly what you want. Success!
That's natural conversation. It's messy, quick, and focused on the transaction, you know?
Now for tip 4, accepting that you might hit a wall.
That's a good idiom to learn. Hit a wall. When you hit a wall, it means you reach a point where you cannot continue or you feel stuck.
In conversation, this happens when you are trying to explain a complex idea and you just run out of the necessary vocabulary or grammar structure. You might be telling a story and suddenly you can't remember the word for ceiling fan.
You hit a wall.
What do most learners do? They panic and stop talking.
What should you do? Use bridging phrases.
Bridging phrases help you move past the wall without stopping the conversation flow.
For example, if you can't remember ceiling fan, you can say, "It was that thing, you know, the round thing that spins above your head."
You are using simpler language to describe the missing word. You are bypassing the wall.
Or you can use a phrase like, "Wait, let me rephrase that." Or, "What I meant was..."
This buys you a little time, but keeps you engaged and fluent.
You are still communicating even when the perfect word is missing. That's natural.
Because native speakers do that too, especially when they're explaining something complicated.
Absolutely. We forget words all the time.
It's important to remember that communication is collaborative. The other person is often trying to help you.
Let me share a short story about hitting a wall that taught me a lot about natural communication,
even across cultures.
Oh, I love your stories, Mia.
Years ago, I was traveling in Italy, and I was trying to explain to a local store owner that I needed a special kind of adapter for my phone charger.
A complicated technical concept, even in your own language.
Exactly. I knew the technical word in English, but I didn't know the exact Italian equivalent. I kept trying to translate the word converter in my head.
You were definitely in the grammar trap.
I was. I hit a wall. The store owner just stared at me, looking confused.
What did you do?
I took a breath, gave up on the perfect word, and changed tactics. I pulled out my phone charger and then acted out plugging it into an imaginary Italian wall socket.
You used nonverbal communication and simple description.
I said, slowly, power, big country difference, need small bucks, make power, fit.
Very simple A2 level vocabulary.
The store owner's eyes lit up. He immediately said, adattatore, and pointed to the shelf.
You got your point across through simple actions and essential words, completely bypassing the complex technical language.
The lesson was clear. If the message is received, the communication was successful.
That brings us to our final key phrase for today. It's not the end of the world.
That's a great phrase to remind ourselves of when we make a mistake.
When we say it's not the end of the world, it means the problem or mistake isn't as serious or catastrophic as you might feel it is.
You use the wrong preposition? You confuse him and her?
It's not the end of the world.
You accidentally mix up your past and present tenses for a moment?
It's not the end of the world. The other person understood you, and the planet is still spinning.
We learners often feel immense pressure to perform perfectly.
But remember, native speakers make mistakes all the time. We say like too much, we stumble over words, we misuse pronouns.
It's part of the natural rhythm of speaking.
If you allow yourself to accept that mistakes are normal, that it's not the end of the world, you will naturally reduce your hesitation.
Reducing hesitation is the secret to natural reactions.
So let's quickly recap our essential takeaways today for how to react naturally.
First, remember that fluency is communication, not perfection. Prioritize flow over flawless grammar.
Second, get massive input. Listen to hours and hours of natural English to train your ears for the rhythm and tone.
Third, learn language chunks. Practice those ready-made phrases like, that's good to know, or I didn't see that coming.
Fourth, use the 3 seconds rule. Force yourself to start speaking within 3 seconds of being addressed, even if you only use a filler word. Break the freeze.
And fifth, use our key phrases. Focus on working to get your point across even when you hit a wall.
And always remind yourself that if you make an error, it's not the end of the world.
These tips work in every scenario, whether you are ordering coffee at a cafe, discussing a complex project at work, or just chatting with a study partner.
Just start practicing those short, quick reactions. Don't analyze, react.
Start small. Try reacting instantly to things you see on TV or hear on the radio.
Pretend someone just asked you, what do you think of that commercial? And force yourself to answer in 3 seconds.
It builds muscle memory for your tongue and your brain.
Natural reactions are a skill, and like any skill, they require practice.
That was a great talk.
Yes, and we hope this helps you start sounding more natural and less stressed in your English conversations.
We'll be diving deeper into specific reaction chunks next time.
So make sure you subscribe to The English Blend.
And keep practicing.
See you in the next episode of The English Blend.